Now this is the Teclast M89 tablet, $150, and it's actually pretty good. So starting with the build quality of this thing, it's metal. It feels decent. It doesn't feel like the highest quality metal. It does feel pretty similar to the Xiaomi Mi Pad 3, which in and of itself was a pretty decent built tablet. So you have the back here, it's metal. You have the Teclast logo, the M89 logo, and pretty much a couple of indicators what the side things are. You know, you have your buttons, you have your camera, you have your mini HDMI, you have your headphone jack, micro SD card, and finally your USB-C port. So on the back here, you have your Teclast logo, your M89 logo, and here on the side, you have your little indicators, what the things are. You have your power buttons, your volume, your camera, your mini HDMI, USB-C, microphone, headphone jack, and a micro SD card slot. As you can see, it picks up fingerprints pretty easily. I just cleaned it, and I'm gonna put my hand on it, and you'll see the fingerprints show up pretty easily. So that's one thing that you do have to be aware of. Fingerprints show pretty easily even on the metal, but it does feel pretty good. Now on the front side, here we have the actual tablet itself. Let's look at the bezels. Bezels are fairly big. They're not too small. You can see that the top and bottom bezels, I mean, they're fine. You can hold on to them pretty easily with your fingers, no problem, unless you're like LeBron James. And on the sides here, you have decent bezels that you can hold on to also. As you can see, I'm holding on to it pretty well, even with just one hand. So there's that. And I think it's pretty good. There's really not much to complain about the build quality. It's obviously not the most high quality tablet in the world, but it will suffice for most, if not all people. All right, let's check out this quick video of Japan in 8K 4:3 aspect ratio. And as you can see, it actually displays very decent colors. The Teclast M89 definitely has a decent screen. It's not the best. Again, I know I say that a lot, but really in these cheap tablets, you don't really get that decent screens. You get screens that will suffice for most, if not all people. But if you are a person, let's say you have an S8 and you buy this tablet, you might actually be concerned, or you might actually, notice a difference and care about it, which is very important. But for me, I use LCDs most of my life. I don't really use AMOLED display phones. So most of the LCDs, most of them are better, but they're not that much better. And in this display, the Teclast M89 does a pretty good job, and I like it quite a bit. It's actually very good for reading comics as well. I read quite a lot of comics, a lot of Marvel comics, and it looks very, very good. And 4:3 is perfect for reading comics. I think 16:9, 16:10 is a little bit narrow for reading comics. 4:3 is what you want to get, which would be this tablet right here. There is a feature in this which is called night mode, which pretty much yellows the screen. So I'm going to show you what it looks like. So as you can see, the screen has noticeably yellowed, and this actually does help when you're reading at night before you go to bed. You actually are able to sleep easier with night mode on because there is less blue light going into your eyes. And this night mode is very common now in many phones. They all have it. And in my opinion, it really works. And I use it a lot as well. So yeah, there's really not much else to say. The touch sensitivity on this display is excellent. The screen brightness is not. It's barely usable in bright light. So yep, so that's about it. And let's move on to the audio. So before we move on to an audio clip from this device, I'm going to talk a little bit about the audio. There's actually not a lot of bass in this tablet, and it's fairly noticeable. Even if you're playing something with bass or you're watching stuff with explosions, it sounds tinny, and it's tinny in a very unusual way in that it actually feels a bit hollow, which is very strange. I don't really see that very often in tablets, and even if I did, it's not as bad as what you find in here. But other than the lack of bass in a weird way, the rest of the audio is fine, and it's really no problem. There's one more thing I want to show you that you might not be able to hear, but when you type here, you will be able to hear the actual key taps, but it's not even. Some of them are louder and some of them are softer. Let me type a little bit for you. Hear that? That's really strange, and I'm not sure what's going on. It's annoying, but it's not deal breaking. Let's put it that way. So let's listen to the audio and see what we got. Oh, and before that, the audio volume is super loud, so there's really nothing to worry about there. All right, let's talk quickly about the battery life on the Teclast M89. And the battery life here it's not bad, but it could be better. I definitely think it has about a 5,000 milliamp hour battery in the tablet. Paired with the MTK CPU, I was able to get around 7 hours maximum of screen on time. If you put it down to like lowest brightness and you're reading night mode, in pitch darkness in your bedroom, then you can stretch it to about 8 hours, but 7 hours is about the maximum. And my Mi Pad 3 could get around 8 hours. So there's that. As you can see, I read a lot of comics over the days. But yeah, so the battery life here is not super amazing, but it definitely could be better. Standby battery life, though, is very good. The standby battery life was something of quite a wonder, as you can see. I left the tablet on for a long time after doing my initial review, and it lost very little battery. I left it for I think 6 days, and it dropped to maybe like 30%, which is very, very good. Very impressed with the standby battery life, especially in a tablet, which is not something you use as often as your cell phone. So standby is super important. So that is good, and let's move on to the software. All right, so software. Here we have Android, but it is not the latest version of Android. It's Android 7.0, as you can see here. I don't really care that much. I know there's some people who will want Android Oreo on all their latest devices, but I don't really care. The software works. It works well. There's really not much to say about that. And I'm perfectly happy with Android 7.0 as long as it's optimized well. Swiping is very smooth. There's really no problem with it. It's definitely a lot smoother than the Chewy High 9. That one was not very well optimized. This is very well optimized. It's pretty much as smooth, if not smoother, than the Xiaomi Mi Pad 3. I think this one actually beats the Mi Pad 3 slightly in terms of smoothness. So that's actually very good, and I'm pleased with how well Teclast has optimized the software on here. Multitasking is a little bit of a different issue. I'm going to clear all so I can show you what I'm talking about. You have 3 gigabytes of RAM, and the 3 gigabytes of RAM is sufficient, but sometimes it's not enough. So as you can see, opening Chrome is super fast. It opens pretty much instantly. You open up Google Play Store, that's also instant. There are times that multitasking does, it starts lagging and slowing down and closing apps on you. Most of the time it's fine, but if you start opening too many apps, you start seeing the problem. And here I have mostly light apps, so that's fine, but I'll show you what happens when you have a heavy app opened, and that actually has an impact. So lastly, we'll open Manga Aeon, and this one takes a little bit longer. I think it's filling up the RAM a little bit, so there's that to be concerned about. Now, moving on to gaming. I was not able to play Asphalt Extreme. Every time I tried playing Asphalt Extreme, it would tell me that this thing kept on crashing, which is very strange. I don't know why, but it is able to play Asphalt Extreme, in theory, of course, and I'm sure it can in real life as well if it's able to launch. I'm not sure what's going on. I think there just might not be enough RAM. I have cleared all the RAM and tried to play this game, but it still would not play. It just kept on crashing on me, so that's not good. I'll show you a lighter game that you can try, and you'll see that the performance is very, very good. So here in this game, the performance is not bad. This is a pretty light game though, so there's that. This is a pretty fun game actually, so it's not bad. And as you can see, there was a little pop-up there. That was just to show you that Asphalt has crashed, which is annoying. So that's something that I'm very surprised. I don't think Asphalt has ever crashed really that much. It's a pretty fairly well optimized game. So there's that to be aware of if you want to buy this. I don't know why it crashes. That's something that doesn't occur very often. But in terms of games, you should be able to play pretty much anything else. I didn't see any crashes in any of the other games I played, and it was only Asphalt Extreme. So the last thing to talk about here is the Wi-Fi reception. Wi-Fi reception is good, and there's really nothing else to complain about there. So in conclusion, the Teclast M89 is a very, very good tablet. I am impressed with it. I like it a lot, and it's very, very cheap, and the value you get, the performance you get, and the user experience you get is definitely worth the $150 that you will pay for this tablet. I think sometimes it goes actually higher, maybe $190 at certain stores. At that price, I really wouldn't recommend it. I would recommend you get the Lenovo Tab 8 Plus, Tab 3 8 Plus instead of this. But this is a very nice tablet with a very high resolution and a 7.9-inch screen. So if you do want to get this, I do understand. I do have links down below if you want to check it out. So be sure to hit like and subscribe, and be sure to hit that little notification button to make sure you're notified of any of the latest videos that come out. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.